channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today I wanted to talk about a vow and how important it is to have vows now. Not only in just like marriage, but there are other reasons to have vows and to stick to them. And I think the Lord wanted me to share this with you guys because we also have a vow to the Lord and our responsibility with communion and being with Him. So I wanted to share with you what a vow was and 6 ways to make your vows work and have commitment and consistency. So what is a vow? Let's answer that. A solemn promise or commitment typically carried in a sense of seriousness, sincerity, and long-term commitment. The 4 type of vows that there are out there in the world are personal promises, religious and spiritual vows, ceremonial vows, which is like marriages, and then oaths and pledges, which is like when you're doing like testifying or something in court, like that, pledging an oath, or even I guess in sports they have those as well. But those are the different type of vows that we have. But I mostly wanted to focus on the vows that we have with God, which is our relationship, and then also the vows that come when we are in commitments in relationships with people, and how to make those work and be consistent and longevity, because that's what we lack nowadays is good, long relationships. I shouldn't just say marriages, but even friendships and family relationships. So once you take a vow and you're committed to something and someone, it's important to have these 6 tools to be able to keep it and be committed to it. Number 1 is preparation. Before any kind of commitment, you need to prepare yourself for it. You need to be in the mind state of knowing this is going to be long term, and you have to be adaptable to getting into that situation. We see this in Psalms 147:3, where it talks about preparation when it comes to a commitment and a vow that you're doing for someone, or that you're going into, I should say. He uses he uses your past and your healing to reshape you. So in the preparation that you're getting ready for, the Lord will use what happened to you as well as Him healing you to prepare you for the next step of the commitment. Also, God prepares your heart before any commitment. So He makes sure that you have a pure heart going into it, because not only is He protecting you, but He also is protecting His other child, whoever you're having this vow with. More so, since this is for my purpose for marriage and relationship, so we'll try to stick to that ground when it comes to preparing and what vow I'm talking about. I'm more so speaking of a ceremonial vow. So when it comes to preparing for the marriage, we also have to be intentional and patient and consistent, knowing that preparation takes time because this is something new and we have to adapt our minds to that new situation or that new marriage or friendship or family relationship or business situation, anything when it comes to a commitment. Number 2 is priority. We see this in Matthew 6:21. God has us to be the number 1 priority. So when you're speaking about your marriage, that's the same way. It has to be the priority because it is the commitment and the vow you made. And you only made those vows to either one person or to God. So that should tell you right there, they are the most important, and it should always be that way. Now, being in tune with God also helps you address the needs of your marriage and your mates, because we have to be first married to God before we can start marrying ourselves to other people, because that's our foundation. And when we lack the foundation, we don't know how to move through other relationships committed, because we haven't been committed to our Father. So number 3 is pursuit. We see this in 1 John 4:19. What you treasure and pursue is where you end up later. So if you always treasure and pursuing, casual sex or pursuing money, you're going to find yourself, that's all you have. You won't have anything else. So it's important to pursue those and the things that are important, because that's what you want to hold on to. Especially if you're married, you should be pursuing your marriage. You should be entertaining your marriage, spicing it up, communicating, doing whatever it is, because that's the most important thing. The vow to pursue is also about knowing where your treasure is and never giving up on the search for it. So just because you have this relationship with God or relationship with your spouse, you still have to continue to grow within one another and grow within your relationship with God, because just like God is all powerful and He's marvelous and there's always different miracles and lessons you can learn, it's the same thing with your mate. You're going to always constantly grow and learn something new with your mate and see their change and their progression when they are also attached to God. So it's really good to have that pursuit and learn for each other when you're in something that's a vow or having that pursuit and growth with God. Number 4 is partnership. This is in Ephesians 5:31 through 33. Learn to love each other's passions. Learn your partner's strengths so you can know where your strengths are with them and your weaknesses with them. Learning to be copacetic with one another is important. Also, when you think about partnership with God, you also have to learn to listen to God's voice, walk with Him, and step into His correction, step into His, no's, just like His yeses, because we have to learn to walk with God. And the only way to walk with Him is by partnering with Him and listening and also doing. Number 5 is purity. We see this in 1 Timothy 4:12. When you seek God with your heart, He will make and keep your heart pure. So when you seek God, He will start to heal you from within. He will start to change who you are from the inside, because that's what is important to the Lord. He even spoke this to me earlier. He said what He was focused on. No, what He sees is my heart, because we were just having a conversation, and sometimes I don't know where the Lord is, and I be seeking Him, and I have to remind myself that He is with me and He is busy healing my heart. So just have to remember that purity is a must when it comes to the Lord, and when you start to seek Him, that is part of the sanctification and purification of your soul, because that's how He communes. He can only commune in a healthy heart, and we can't even hear the Lord if our heart is not healthy, because we're going to be too busy listening to the garbage. So purity is not always about doing something, yet it's about doing something which is seeking Christ. So with purity, we should not be trying to be good. We should be trying to seek Christ, who will find what's inside of us that needs to be changed and healed. And that way we can really see the growth, because we don't really know everything that's wrong with us or everything that's in our heart that's hidden. But the Lord does, and when we open our heart to it, He finds it. Trust me. Number 6 is prayer. No matter what vow you have, we have to be consistent in prayer and communing with the Lord, whether it's for our marriage or for our partnership with Him. How can God help us if we don't speak to Him, if we don't pray to Him and ask Him and listen? We have to remember that prayer is one of the not only spiritual armor that we have, but it's also our way of communing and peace and guidance, because there's many ways to speak to the Lord, but the quickest way is always through prayer. And we even see that with Jesus. He did a lot of praying, a lot of time alone, a lot of time on listening and partnering with the Lord. Also with prayer helps you to be a better person, a better partner, because sometimes we need to pray because there's something that we don't see that the Lord does, that He can change within us to fix our situation, as well as grow us or grow the person that we are about to, that we're having issues with. Sometimes I think that so many people seek outside of the marriage instead of just seeking God, who can then open their own hearts and minds to what the issue is in the marriage, and then they can fix it within themselves, because the Lord sees more than the people do in the world. So we have to remember that. And if we trust our relationship and vow that we have with the Lord before we get in our marriage, we won't have any issues with listening to the Lord while in the marriage. That's why I did want to re-emphasize that it's important to be vowed to the Lord first before you start making commitments to other areas. Even when it comes to religious and spiritual and oaths and pledges, you can't be taking pledges and oaths if you don't even have a foundation and a solid relationship with God and commitment there. Because if you can't be committed there with God and yourself, then you can't be committed with oaths and pledges and ceremonial vows. You have to be starting your own commitment with God and yourself before any other vow. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I hope that this message on vows will help you determine your vows and where they are aligned right now. Whether are they aligned in the wrong place, or whether you need to start refocusing your vows back on God and you, or you need to start focusing more your vows towards your marriage. That way you can have a longevity and a committed relationship. And that's what God wants us here for, is good relationships, not only with him but with others.